need support staff to clear the room. Stand up and walk, now.
Hello and welcome to The Watch. My name is Chris Ryan. I am an editor at TheRinger.com, and joining me in the studio, ecstatic at a kinder, gentler portrayal of the Punisher, it's Andy Greenwald.
That's really reading the room by Marvel.
Yeah. You know, I mean, we have to soften the edges sometimes, and who better to do it than Bernthal? Andy, it's great to see you. We're here on a Thursday. Today on The Watch, we're going to talk about the Dune 3 trailer. We're going to talk about the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer. We're going to talk about the fact that Buffy the Vampire Slayer is not coming back.
Right.
On Hulu, at least, and a little bit about that story. And then we have the Pitt, we have the Madison, and we have Top Chef Episode 2 for The Watch. Maybe not After Dark. Maybe we should call it The Watch Cooking on the Line or something like that. You know, no reservations, The Watch.
That's nice.
Something like for foodies to stick around.
That's a long show, man. How you feeling?
Why, do you want to leave? Did you have something else to do today?
This is my whole day. I just want to make sure that, did you have a good breakfast? Are you feeling...
I did. I had the same breakfast I have every day.
That's right. You're a creature of habit.
Yeah. And you, not you.
No, I just forage what's local and fresh.
Well, you can.
That's right. Before God's furious sun boils all the nutrients out of Los Angeles.
I actually went back and watched a couple of Paradise episodes and took notes.
Just to prepare?
Yeah. Just like be like, where would be... Like, we got an email actually in our inbox. And hello, everybody. You can write us at thewatch@spotify.com, and you can follow us at thewatchpod _ on Instagram, and watch us on YouTube at Ringer-TV.
Yeah.
And listen to us on Spotify and watch us on Spotify. We got an email from a listener who asked what, like, attraction or monument we would want to be at when the missiles fell.
That's a sick question.
You know, because in Paradise, they're at Graceland. I was having a hard time picking this.
No missiles. EMP stop the missiles.
Right, sorry. The EMP pulse that stops the missiles, yeah.
We get things right.
You gotta stop mugging, dude. You gotta stop mugging.
Why?
Because it's like some people just listen, you know, and...
Yeah, but they wouldn't have known. It's like a little treat. You know what I mean? For the people who just pore obsessively over the visual contours of our relationship.
Sure.
It's a gift. You're welcome. Please go on. Are we talking about Paradise today, too?
Yeah, would you want to be at
fire.
the Franklin Institute? Like, where do you think...
Inside the giant heart at the Franklin Institute?
Well,
that'd be so
be
cool.
Metaphorical, but I also think you'd run out of food there. Like, I don't know if the Franklin Institute has a really good cafeteria.
First of all, respect to Aramark. They keep things running at our nation's concession stands, okay?
I honestly, if I have to eat Aramark for the rest of my life, just go ahead and EMP me.
There's a thing that, you know, I feel like most podcasts are too afraid to talk about, including ours, because we don't like to work in this direction. But the one through line of this season's sort of exploration of people surviving the day on Paradise is that the most crucial aspect of survival is unlimited access to econo-sized cans of beans.
And Sterno
and beans.
Yeah.
And yet everyone is looking like their skincare regime is uninterrupted. They're looking amazing. This is like 10 people in a closed space eating beans for 3 weeks. I don't need to spell it out for you. That we're adults. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just asking the questions here.
Let's talk a little bit about some developments in the world of popular culture this week.
Oh, you don't want to address the other elephant in the room?
What's that?
Which was on Monday. We just completely botched Soundwave versus Shockwave, two Decepticons of our youth.
I just don't care.
No, that's a strong...
Like, I understand. So what we have to do is now make Andy is the watcher on the wall of comments, and you bring me what you think is...
First of all, we found out Kaya is the watcher on the wall. She only makes sure super good ones get through to my eyes, which, thank you. 2, I actually just wanted to point out that I think we're doing pretty well for older gentlemen on a diet of just beans.
Yeah.
And locked in the studio talking TV till the end of time. Also, I don't believe it. I think that we were right that Soundwave is the tape player Decepticon and Shockwave is Mandela effect. That didn't exist when we were kids in our dimension. That's what I think.
I watched Mask more than Transformers, so I was kind of going...
Mask was so sick.
Mask was fucking incredible, bro.
And by the way, to be clear, Chris is talking about this incredible cartoon toy line.
Not the Eric Stoltz movie.
Not the Eric Stoltz movie.
Which I also watched. But
it
wasn't like a go-to rewatchable for me.
That's what I watched when I came home from school every day. I had the Mask toys. I had the Cher action figure that was like,
loved Cher.
my son. It's a collectible.
You're good today.
But
got it.
Mask is a forgotten. I'm about to say it's a forgotten.
It's
piece
like a
of IP.
Transformers dupe. Yeah, right.
That said, I'm sure someone has been working on drafts after draft of the reboot of it. But all the guy, like it was guys.
What did Mask stand for? Machines.
Automated serving kisses. I don't remember, but like all the dudes had mustaches, and then they put on these masks, not like Eyes Wide Shut, but like then they could control their vehicles, right? Which turned into other vehicles, not the way Transformers did. Like you'd be flying a plane, and then the plane would turn into a helicopter because the wings would fall off, right? That was so fun.
It was sick. It was. I honestly, and I think I prefer the toys to actual Transformers, which I often broke.
Yes.
In frustration at like fitting all the pieces together, or like getting them to like,
What do you have to say about childhood diseases? Nothing.
What is that? A share? Is that?
That's up back to Mask, the film.
Yeah.
Mask.
Okay. I honestly don't remember much about it, except for like the major thing about it.
That wasn't the 6th choice for CR month.
You guys will never know. Let's talk about Dune 3.
Mask stands for Mobile Armored Strike Command with a K.
I mean, that is literally like Pete Hegseth is like, can we fucking bring those guys back into the rotation?
Pete Hegseth is also like, a lot of great groups have K's in their name. Like, really good way to spell words differently is with a K. That's just like, that's just tracks with his thinking.
Oh, shit.
All right.
We're dead.
We're fine.
Dune 3.
We're starting with Dune 3. Okay.
I'd like to start with Dune 3 because here's what happens sometimes, especially this year. I loved a bunch of the movies. In fact, I think I had time for at least all of the movies that were nominated for Best Picture. There wasn't a single movie that I was like, get this shit out of here. Even Hamnet, which I know that
I'm not relitigating Hamnet with you.
Completely ignored.
Captain Lockjaw of the Dead Kid Brigade over here.
But sometimes like you get to the end of the award season and you're just like, I need a palate cleanser. I want something to feel like we have turned the page of the calendar and I'm now into the new year. And the Dune 3 trailer did that. First, your boy Timmy put up his character poster like 10 hours, 12 hours after the Oscars. He posted that and people were like, oh shit.
I mean, he had a long night, so he had plenty of time.
He's good, man. Don't worry about him.
I am not worried. I'm just saying he probably had some thoughts.
And then I believe yesterday, the Dune 3 trailer dropped. And listener, consider me fucking seated. Like I am really blown away by this. They switched DPs. So Greg Fraser shot the first two. Linus Sandgren, I think.
Sandgren, yeah.
Is shooting the third one. Anya Taylor-Joy has a bigger role. She appeared in the end of Dune 2. She is playing Paul's sister, obviously.
Do you think Denis Villeneuve, which by the way is the greatest.
That's Bill, yeah.
That's fantastic. I want to use that from now on. Do you think he saw Jay Kelly last year and was like, this is the lighting that I need for my return to
I didn't love the way Jay Kelly looked.
Oh, but that's Linus Sandgren.
I know, but he's doing what the director tells him to, it's like generally, or like he's working in collaboration with filmmakers.
I like the way it
I
looked.
thought that's what makes this podcast so electric.
It's crackling. It's crackling today.
Wow. One of us knows what MASK stands for.
You know what the K in Jay Kelly stands for?
Not command. What did you think of the trailer?
I mean, it's incredibly sick. The score is wild. Every actor wanting to be a part of it is also pretty interesting.
Pattinson looks so good.
Pattinson, and then
Pete Hegseth thinks Pattinson looks good too.
He looks like just the kind of soldier that he needs in his mobile armored strike command. Any movie that gives Isaac de Benkele his own poster is cool with me.
Yeah.
Jim Jarmusch legend. I think it looks really wild. I think generally I was.
Do you know what happens in this movie? Did you ever read Dune? Are you aware of the story?
No. It seems like everything works out good, for Paul. Like,
this is going to be complicated because I think the first two movies largely adapted
the first book.
Maybe ish.
Yeah.
I would say that this is, how can I put this? From what I understand about Dune, this is like if Empire Strikes Back was Return of the Jedi.
Okay, in that it ends.
No, I don't know how it
ends.
I don't know how they're going to end it. I mean, I know how it ends. I know how the story progresses, but
I'm trying to unpack this so that the little pig guys who froze Han are actually Ewoks. Like Lando stays bad. What's the
I
what's
feel
the
like
analogy
the
here?
vibe is darker.
Oh.
You know? Now, I would say Dune is not a necessarily uplifting movie. If you're watching Dune 2 and you're like, this doesn't seem like it's going great, you know?
Yeah, and Timmy looks like Stellan Skarsgård in the poster. Like he's going a little bit.
Yeah, he goes through a bit of a
Harkonnen.
transformation.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I think it's incredible.
I think that's incredible stuff. I'm so excited to see basically the best and the brightest of the current movie industry that aren't also in the Odyssey.
Some are.
And some are. Making a blockbuster on this canvas, like dealing with this kind of material.
And all these people just showing up for a couple reps,
Yeah.
maybe even a couple scenes. I think Rebecca Ferguson is on the record saying she's in one scene in this film.
And she's not actually, I mean, I think they just brought her in because I don't think her character's in this book that they're adapting.
What I read was that Denny Villanova was like, I have 3 scenes for you. And she was like, cool. And then she showed up and he's like, actually, it's 1 scene. But what she did was write the other 2 scenes on her face so that they would always be represented
She's
in the
a
film.
really, I like her.
I know you do. She's on your wall.
Yeah.
I love her. I was especially
You make
excited.
it sound like it's like a picture of Rebecca Ferguson is on my wall like Kathy Ireland was in 6th grade. It's not like that.
Where is the picture?
Well, you just referred to like an ancient watch meme of like the wall of fame or the wall that we have for people that we like. And I don't know if some of our newer listeners know about it.
You were worried that you instead, that you had a bikini photo of
It's like
actress.
48-year-old man is not putting pictures of Rebecca Ferguson on his wall. Yeah.
Not in the main house. That's what the garage is for. Don't come in, honey. Just working on the car. The screenplay credit on this is our guy Brian K. Vaughan.
I don't know him, but
You don't know this man?
Do you know him personally?
Yes, I think he's been on the podcast.
That's awesome.
Brian K. Vaughan, one of the great comic book writers of our time. Most recently celebrated, as he should be, for this incredible sci-fi space epic comic called Saga.
I love Saga.
But other comics that he's written that have been adapted include Why the Last Man and Paper Girls, which didn't really get a fair shake at Amazon, IMO.
And Why the Last Man was on FX?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Saga, which I think we both highly recommend.
Yes.
One of the most incredible things about this, if you're interested in what comics can do, Brian wrote this comic because he had been frustrated. I mean, he's worked as a screenwriter. He worked a little bit on Lost. He worked a little bit on, I think, on Under the Dome a few years ago. But frustrated by adaptations, so he intentionally made a sprawling sci-fi space epic that was like, let's see you try to adapt this.
Yeah, it's like Star Wars but unfilmable.
Yes. Yeah. Romeo and Juliet and Star Wars, but completely unfilmable with like TV, robot aliens with TVs for heads and sex and animals and stuff.
Yeah.
I make it sound great. I'm really selling it. The point is, suddenly out of, to me anywhere, nowhere, Dune Part 3, written by Denis Villeneuve and Brian K. Vaughan.
And Dennis Villanova.
And all 3 of them.
Yeah.
I think that's really, that's pretty exciting for me, just as a fan of his writing and his vision for these sort of big stakes things. The other reaction I had, obviously we're in the tank for this, so this isn't really like a hot take or a zag, but I was genuinely shocked at the turnaround. Now, this movie's not coming out till December and is currently parked on the same release date as Avengers Doomsday, which is batshit and
It's
probably
also
won't
like
stay.
I think Sean and Amanda talked about this, but I think Avengers should be more nervous about this than Dune should be nervous about this, honestly.
I think that's a smart take.
I think Avengers Doomsday has a little bit more to prove than Dune 3 does.
Also, Dune, my point is that it's been 2 years, right?
Yeah.
That's really, really fast turnaround.
Sure.
And I think Denis has said that he planned to make another movie, but then it was like, fuck it, we got to get the band back together and do this quickly, because he got to experience the reaction to part 2 as opposed to part 1 going straight to HBO Max at the time.
Yes.
So I found it pretty exciting. Like generally we have become, certainly in TV, let alone in movies, we've been conditioned to wait longer for these things. And these series take up also a lot of just years, just time equity in the careers of filmmakers and actors. And I actually was excited both to see the thrilling conclusion of this trilogy, and also for everybody involved to work on something else.
Sure. Yeah, it did not wear out its welcome.
Yeah.
And I don't think was really Dune Prophecy did not detract from my. I mean, to the extent that I watched an episode of Dune Prophecy and didn't care for it, but like it's not like it was like sapped the way maybe Marvel kind of lost the plot a little bit with its streaming exercises and stuff like that.
Right.
Speaking of Marvel and speaking of long waits, Spider-Man Brand New Day dropped a trailer. This is directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who takes over for John Watts. Tom Holland, obviously back. Zendaya back. Michael Mando is in this movie.
Yeah, but you didn't remember that he was in Homecoming.
I really didn't, and that's it's indicative of the break that we've had since No Way Home. Was that the third one?
It goes Homecoming.
Yeah.
Far From Home.
Right.
Because they're in Europe. And failing Europe.
Yeah.
And then
that's
No Way
Jake
Home.
Gyllenhaal as
Mysterio,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then No Way Home was the third one.
Yes, which came out was one of the big we're back from COVID movies. And this movie this will be an interesting, look, Spider-Man is going to make a boatload of money. I don't think anybody is trying to crowd Spider-Man out of IMAX screens. And
this is already like the most watched trailer.
It's the most watched trailer.
Most watched trailer in my car on the way to school by my children.
Are you excited for this?
Broadly speaking, yes, because I am a fan of Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to? Shall we do pros and then reservations, or context-setting reservations first?
Ooh, context-setting reservations first.
The context-setting reservation is those first three movies are a very, very successful trilogy and a play as such that kind of bring a lot of things to a resting place that some might say set Spider-Man up for whatever inclusion they wanted to have for him in the multiversal wrap-up storylines of the next Avengers movies, but all those movies got derailed and put back together again. So a new Spider-Man movie is coming first. The other thing about this is I believe that with the conclusion of No Way Home, that was also the conclusion of Tom Holland's initial contract with Sony and Disney and Marvel to make these movies. So anything else was going to require a pretty big, like Albert Pujols to the Angels kind of deal.
And also some, I would imagine, a larger creative input.
Yes. And I think the other way that we see that manifested is in a clear desire by many of the creative stakeholders involved to age up the character a little bit. Yeah. To make him a little more brooding, to make him have a little more darkness. I'm on the record. We have plenty of dark and brooding superheroes. The magic trick of Spider-Man that makes him perpetually popular is that he is not that. And so that gave me slight pause in the trailer when it's a lot about, not just his regrets and his missing his friends and his not being known.
He's going through spider puberty.
This is the other thing that gives me enormous pause. Now, the beauty of Spider-Man is that it's a very, very, very basic, beautiful idea, maybe the most perfect superhero idea. And it has lasted forever, and it has allowed all these different Spider-Men to bloom across the Spider-Verse. And always kind of the same origin story, same essential personality, and that's fun and awesome. Mm-hmm. The nature of comic books is you it's like podcasts, really. You got to keep grinding. Even if the moment has moved on, you got to keep showing up and doing the work. Yeah. And to the I give a lot of genuine credit to the writers over the years of Spider-Man who are always just trying to see how can we stretch this thing? Where can we push
Spider-Man,
this?
the comic you're talking
about. The comic book
yeah.
and the character.
Yeah.
And a lot of the ideas that we see on screen start chrysalis form, if you will, in the comics. The one area that has always left me completely cold, and this is a storyline, a type of story that I think started with the Babylon 5 writer, J. Michael Straczynski, when he took over Spider-Man like 25 years ago.
Okay.
And it's had different expressions, is the idea that Spider-Man isn't just like, oh, this smart kid got bitten by a spider. It's that somehow he is the inheritor of some like quasi-supernatural spiritual spider avatar, and thus is part of a continuum of spidering.
Like kind of Aztec action going in?
If you saw Madam Web.
I did.
And I know you did because I sat with you and Damon Lindelof watching the whole thing. There was some of that in that movie. These storylines where there are these characters who are like spider people and want to reclaim Peter, and he becomes more spider than man. And there was a storyline 20 years ago called The Other that they seem to be adapting for this.
Oh. That was controversial.
It was controversial at the time. And that he sort of has blackouts and dizzy spells, and he goes through this like transformation that leads to organic web shooters, which was controversial when Tobey Maguire
They
had
seem
it.
to indicate in the trailer that he hits that.
That it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he didn't have to go into his garage with his posters of Kathy Ireland to achieve it. You know what I mean? So this is, and then Keith David being like, perhaps playing a character named Ezekiel, being like, the spider adolescence is upon us.
Do we just hear his voice, though?
We just hear his voice. Yeah. All this could be kind of corny. Now, is it a place to push the character? And the stewards of this iteration of the franchise have done a good job folding in things that might not have worked in other contexts and making them work for this character. Because at the end of the day, you have Tom Holland and Zendaya, and you're going to win. But it's a little bit of concern trolling.
I'll tell you what what did you call them? Controversial concerns or?
Context-setting reservations.
Context-setting reservations.
Is that the name of our new segment? That's a good one.
In the time that it's been since old Doctor Strange went poof, and made everybody forget Pete.
Yeah.
I feel like
who did that in the comics? Your boy Mephisto did that in the comics.
Did he?
Yeah.
Why are they keeping him on the bench?
He's not on the bench. He's in Ironheart.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's Sacha Baron Cohen. I completely forgot that.
Mephisto is here.
In the intervening years since the last Spider-Man has come out, I would just say that my expectations and my standards have been raised in terms of what I expect from blockbuster filmmaking.
Whoa!
I think that across the board, people are maybe falling out of love with the like insane amount of VFX and like the very comic-y kind of style of the action in Marvel movies. And without getting deeply into like the plot of it at all, I got a chance to see Project Hail Mary earlier this week.
I'm jealous.
I have mixed feelings about the movie. I generally really, really liked it.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about it, it has got several breathtaking sequences that I will remember for the rest of the year at least.
Whoa.
You know, like moments where you're like, holy shit, this is a really great movie-going experience.
Like set piece, see it in the theater,
and I'm going
to
to remember the moment where this happened for a while. And I just don't feel that way about Marvel movies. And I really like Destin Daniel Cretton. I really like Wonder Man.
Over directing.
He's directing. I generally really like his filmmaking. There's a lot of stuff online about like these VFX shots don't look as good as like Spider-Man 2. You know what I mean? Like that Sam Raimi made or something. Like it's like, why is this stuff starting to look worse? There's also like, does it just look bad when you look at it on social media, or does it maybe those VFX shots aren't done yet?
Unfinished, yeah.
But there was something kind of flat, like when I watched the little interaction, the little mini fight that he has with the Punisher in the trailer. I was like, I think I'm kind of like, I'm all good on these like really expensive fake fights that have no staying power.
Well, and they have no stakes because it's like there's a rhythm to these movies that's been established, and they have to have like a fight, something gets crashed, something, whatever. There's very little in a lot of the recent Marvel work. There's not a lot of like visual wit or playfulness or connection to the storytelling.
It's like funny when Bernthal almost says motherfucker, but he throws the web on his mouth. Like, I mean, it's not like without its charm. I'm just saying, like, I don't need every movie to be the same. I just think that there is a style of like weirdly muted color palette and like all fake action and all this stuff that I'm like, I'm definitely gonna see this movie, but I was just like,
Speaking of muted,
they're
hiding Sadie Sink.
They are hiding Sadie Sink. You want to say the words? Say the name.
There's a rumor.
Say the name.
I can't be the one to report this. There's just a big rumor.
Do you want to say that The Watch is pushing out our boat that she is Jean Grey? And that if she is not Jean Grey, we will stop podcasting.
So we'll find out this summer, and then we could probably have August off.
Well, we would have it off in the sense that we no longer podcasted.
With each other. I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm not quitting Rewatchables. That's the bell cow, dog. I'm just here for fun.
This is light work for a professional like you. Yeah. I continue to think that some days that I'm like, it's really nice that you guys showed up. These cameras don't work. These mics don't work. It's just like,
but like
we'll
we've been here
easy.
Before, right? I was like, Krasinski is around the corner. He is Reed Richards. Yeah. They took him away from us.
They took him away from you. No
Mephisto
one cared more.
Multiple times being like, where is he? Let the devil... Let him out of the box. And they didn't let him out of the box until Ironheart.
That was my favorite song in Sinners, by the way.
Let the devil out of the box.
I think that Sadie Sink, I don't know why you cast.
Who else would she be?
not knowing that the only other person with canonically red hair in these comics is Mary Jane.
Right.
So is she playing a multiversal Mary Jane?
There's a shot of a person in this trailer with like a bag on their head doing some crazy stuff. Who do you think that is?
That sounds fun. Is it like a disgruntled...
There's like a little scarecrow person. Like, what's that thing?
It's a disgruntled Saints fan from the early 2000s. Isn't that what they used to do? Before Sean Payton
I gotta tell
came
you,
in?
You're in the zone,
Yeah.
but you're not helping me. You're ducking the smoke. Do you think it's Jean Grey?
Yes.
Okay. Will you put any fucking sweat equity into this?
Yeah, I will let you out of your obligation to watch a Miyazaki film if I'm wrong about this.
Great. I'll quit. And
I can watch my cartoons all day, all by
that
myself.
pod would actually do well if you just did solo Miyazaki potting.
You think that would do numbers?
Yeah.
From the sound wave or the shock wave
I think you'd
community?
miss me though.
I miss you all the time. I text you constantly.
Sadie saying John Bernthal is the Punisher. Michael Mando's back.
Tremel Tillman.
Yeah, Tremel Tillman.
That's fun. Mark Ruffalo as Professor Banner.
But who does not know anything about Spider-Man?
They all got wiped.
Does Doctor Strange know about Spider-Man?
I think he's busy.
Did he wipe himself though? Like, did
Careful.
he wipe his own memory
Careful.
in the process of wiping everybody's memories?
That sounds very complicated. To wipe everyone and wipe yourself at the same time.
No, but you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? You don't want to answer the hard questions I'm asking you about the MCU, but you're the only one who knows the answers. You've read all these.
This is not based on, like I said, Mephisto did it in the comics, and he wasn't about to wipe himself. He's the devil. He wants to take pleasure in this, you know?
Right. So it's more nefarious in the comics.
In the comics,
It's Faustian.
Oh, good, yeah.
Yeah.
It's Faustian.
See, if Dennis Villanova was directing Spider-Man,
it would be Dr. Faust.
Yeah.
It would be, yeah. Don't tempt me with good things. That sounds amazing.
God damn it.
I just think that like we're spending too much time ultimately arguing about a movie that has a leg up on all of the other Marvel movies because it has two of the most compelling.
I guess
young
we didn't
leads.
say any pros. All these people are charming.
And Tom and his lady wife Zendaya. That's what we saw. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And I will note that unlike a lot of the other long-running comic book series, Chris McKenna, who worked on Community and has written or co-written all of these Spider-Man movies, is back for number 4 along with Eric Summers. I'm ready.
One more thing I wanted to talk to you about, which is honestly the most fascinating story of this week to me.
Okay.
Which is the Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot story. A while back, it was announced that after many attempts to get Sarah Michelle Gellar to return as Buffy the Vampire Slayer in some form or another, she had finally agreed to do so because she believed so deeply in a pitch she heard from Chloe Zhao about how to resurrect the character. Chloe Zhao, obviously director of Hamnet, No Man Land, The Eternals, and a very idiosyncratic filmmaker that would not necessarily translate. The first thing you think of would not necessarily be like episodic television. It turns out, at least according to some, that wound up being a problem with the pilot. So the reason why I'm so interested in this story is the two sides of the story. Earlier this week, I think it was Monday. No, it was last Friday, actually.
Well, they received, apparently Hulu made the decision to
not to move forward after
at
doing
6
the pilot.
p.m. on Friday.
Yes. And so Chloe Zhao on Oscars weekend and Sarah Michelle Gellar in Austin presenting
promoting
Ready or Not 2 found out that this was happening or not happening. Sarah Michelle Gellar, I believe, Monday released a statement that was pretty boilerplate, and it's like, I just want to thank the fans and I wanted you to hear it from me, but unique in the sense that it said, it specified a unnamed but specific Hulu executive for never getting the project, bragging about how he like never watched Buffy and being a roadblock in this entire process. And that's unusual. You know, it's definitely a burn the boats kind of statement when it comes to this. I know, because Fox still owns the IP, as we'll get to in a second. Then Variety ran a story that seemed, I would say, you can safely assume was sourced from within Hulu or close to the production, that they were disappointed with the pilot and that Chloe Zhao did not shoot enough coverage, which means there was not a lot of options for them to like fix things given what footage she shot, that her sense of how to like construct a television episode was not what they wanted, and that Sarah Michelle Gellar's Buffy character did not show up until the last moments of the pilot. And, this is like a real, like, focus groups tell us that if it's called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they want her in the...
Right.
Now, this is supposed to be focusing on a new generation, a new Slayer, played by Ryan Kara Armstrong, who we liked a lot in The Lowdown.
Yep. Hawk's daughter on The Lowdown.
How do you parse this story?
Well, it's fascinating, and it's fascinatingly messy. Where are you with Buffy?
I like it a lot.
You were a fan.
Yeah.
You watched it.
I did.
I didn't mean that in like a judgmental way.
I
Apparently
know.
it's amazing. That is a blind spot for me. So I was not one way or another about the potential.
And it's
reboot.
interesting that this and Firefly are both, people are attempting to sort of iterate on Joss Whedon IP without Joss Whedon.
Yes, and the Firefly thing seems
It's
to be
animated. Yeah.
But they're also trying to crowdfund a home for it or something.
I think they're just trying to get fan interest to a point where somebody is like, yeah, let's make this. Because they've already got like kind of showrunners and the entire cast is signed on. And yeah.
I thought this was an interesting... I mean, everything moves so quickly that I was actually prepared to come in here and be like, well, the voice of industry reason here, but that has now bubbled up as well. Because the take coming from Sarah Michelle Gellar, who was obviously stunned and heartbroken, was one that I think very much echoes the voice of the fandom, who have been, for very good reason, trained at this point to expect getting exactly what they want all the time. More of everything, more of everything. The idea that this was like maliciously or nefariously plug pulled and like they had a rug pulled out from under them is a very clickbaity kind of take, and naming an executive who is, potentially either Craig Erwich, who makes the programming decisions for Hulu generally, or Jordan Hellman, who's an executive who's been there for a long time. That gives, if not the face, since she didn't name either of them, but like sort of a chalk outline of a punching bag to blame.
Right.
I feel pretty confident saying that when you have a piece of IP that is high profile and that has been curated for a number of years because you want to get it right, the margins for making this decision are not really that thin. Like, you have to get it right. And if it's only a little bit right, they'll keep throwing money at it. If it's really wrong is when they make this decision. And I think that by all late breaking or more recently breaking accounts, this didn't work, which is not an indictment on the creatives involved. It's really hard to reboot things. And it's especially hard to reboot things that try to serve when you try to do it both ways, not just like a whole new version, but a hand holding. The old Buffy is here and there's a new Buffy as well, and one will have a relationship with the other.
Yeah.
So it's not out of the ordinary. The Lila and Nora Zuckerman are the sisters who, and TV veterans, very talented writers.
Worked on Poker Face.
Most recently on Poker Face. They were the showrunners. They wrote the script. They shot a pilot last year. People are now reporting about their experiences, that they had while making the pilot, because there are a couple of interesting actors who maybe it's cameos or not, but like Chase Sweet Wonders was in the pilot. The comedian Alison Becker was in the pilot. Allegra Edwards, who is on my show and is starring in a new CBS sitcom coming soon, I think is also in it. And they are all like, oh, it was a great experience. It seemed like really positive vibes.
People generally come out of Chloe Zhao Productions feeling very warmly towards...
Because of the Rihanna playing all the time.
Well, I just think because it's like... I just like everything you read about people who work with her are that if they connect with her, they connect quite deeply with her.
Yeah,
and I think that this obviously, like, for whatever reasons, Gellar was like opposed to doing this, probably for like very smart reasons, because she was a custodian of that character
and the fan
and didn't want it to
passion.
go the way that, it's not Melrose Place. She didn't want it to just be like, you can just reboot this constantly without,
that's fair.
paying tribute to what it actually meant to people. And that's the thing about this show, is that it meant a lot to a lot of people. I mean, Mal and Joe have been doing a rewatch, and...
But do people want something new or do they not? And now,
I don't know.
And I can fall on both sides of it. I think it's not a clean-cut story with villains. It seems like they shot a pilot in which Sarah Michelle Gellar appears almost like a cameo at the end to suggest involvement in the future that they would figure out in series. I'm sure they had a format pitch document of where it was going to go, or else she wouldn't have been involved. And whether they tested that and it didn't work or whatever, it seems like they went a little bit further down the road of rewrites to bring her more into the script proper. But ultimately, it does seem like they were undone by a pilot that just missed the mark. Not necessarily script-wise, but because, and this goes back to the original point, just because you have a passionate fan in something, and that Chloe says that she grew up watching Buffy, adores it, I don't see much Buffy in her filmed work to date, which doesn't, I'm not saying she's faking it. I'm not saying there should be more metatextual laughs in Nomadland. I'm just saying it's hard to draw that connection.
Sure.
And if she brought the things that make her an A-list award nominated and winning Hollywood director to this pilot, that doesn't sound like the right fit to me.
Yeah.
And I will also say, from experience, that when you have feature directors stepping into TV without a lot of episodic work, in a feature, they're like, I run this show, I run this ship. What I film is the show. I don't need to do more. I don't need to get it from the other angle, because why would you use it? I don't want that angle. That's not how TV works, but it's especially not how tone-setting pilots work. And if you don't have the footage, you might not have the show.
We have a course correction going on where now I think that a lot of feature directors have backed out of doing television, especially like I'm directing every episode of TV. I mean, Steve Conrad's directing all the DTFs, but is an experienced television showrunner in that regard. I think we'd probably, what I would have suggested is weird. I think probably what would have been a great execution of this is that for the sake of the pilot and getting the show on its feet, you basically invert what happened and have some very capable, safe pair of hands start the process and shoot the pilot. You get it going. And then as a special kind of reverie, maybe mid-season or whatever, Chloe Zhao directs 2 episodes of Buffy that's like her rendition of it. And I think that this would be actually like a much more successful version of kind of auteurist directors wanting to dabble in TV would be if you did Tarantino coming in for late period CSI or ER episodes. It's like, like it's already established how this works. Everybody on set knows how this goes. I'm not creating the visual language for this show. It's pretty rare that shows can break from that visual language. I mean, they do. I think industry is like obviously like deviated from the initial verite version of what Lena Dunham shot.
Yeah, but
in the
that's
first
the creators
episode.
taking the reins.
Yeah. But I think that probably, maybe that would have been a successful way of doing this.
We were joking before about Transformers and mask toys and how we enjoyed playing with them.
I wasn't joking.
Fair. I meant the mask toys I was joking about. Eric Stoltz with the prosthetics. I think that it is time to move past, broadly speaking, 100,000-foot view. I think we need to move past the development phase of television where it is like us playing with Transformers and G.I. Joes at the same time. Just because you have 1 to 4 things that might work and that people like doesn't mean it's somehow a value add when you jam them all together.
Sure.
Hulu developing a show with Chloe Zhao, great. Hulu developing a Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot, great. It doesn't exponentially increase the value of the property to jam them together if it's not a natural fit for the show that they're going to program.
I would imagine
on
that
service.
There's another issue here, which is like holds on actors were probably expiring, and a decision had to be made here at some point.
The other thing, Ryan Keir Armstrong is a really strong young actor. Like, we thought she was great in The Lowdown. And then some of the other feedback that has leaked to the press was that with her as the central lead, she's 15 when they shot it, it played younger than what they wanted.
That's from Variety.
Yeah, but that speaks to another problem with a lot of this stuff, which is, are we making this entertainment for a new generation of fans really? Or are we making it just to sort of handhold the nostalgia crowd?
I'd like to see it. I would have liked to have seen the pilot, but like I understand why it perhaps didn't work.
You'd like to see it?
I'm kind of like, release the pilots. That's my... I think it would, we've had, Amazon used to do that. That
is under-remembered as such a fascinating
Amazon
exercise.
Would basically they had a pilot season where they would put up pilots and can you vote? Or like, would they just use viewer data?
I think they would use viewer data.
And I thought that was cool.
So we saw the Whit Stillman pilot, for example, that otherwise would have been buried forever.
With Adam Brody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wish that show got made.
Me too.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Peaky Blinders is hands down one of the most iconic series of all time. And the gangsters are back in Netflix's new film, Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man. Tommy Shelby, played by the Academy Award-winning Cillian Murphy, of course, must face his own demons and choose whether to confront his legacy or burn it to the ground. I've watched the movie, and let me tell you, it's just fascinating to watch Cillian on the other side of the Oppenheimer journey that he's been on, becoming one of our great actors And I mean, he already was one of our great actors, but to become one of the major movie stars in Hollywood, this is perhaps his signature role, his iconic role. He brings like an even more haunted, weathered quality to it. And he's paired off with Barry Keoghan, who's just extraordinary in this and brings this youthful vigor and energy that the story greatly benefits from. Watch Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man, now on Netflix, rated R. Let's talk about The Pitt,
Okay.
a show that did get made.
Sure did.
And it keeps getting made. And you sounded one small, lonely bell of alarm last week. You said it was the weakest episode of the season.
Yeah.
So I start with you, also because you're fucking cooking today.
I might need a protein bar or something. I'm
I'm
lagging.
going to ride you. We're going back to you're like a 1930s pitcher. I'm pitching you fucking 4 days in a row. Do you remember 8 Men Out? Strathaird's character is like on his 9th straight start.
He's just the pitcher.
Yeah.
That's his job. So,
but he throws like 48 miles per hour.
Which is still more than I could do.
I could have been an incredible baseball player back then.
You could have been an incredible baseball player for the first 4 pitches of every game. You poured your whole heart, soul, mind, and body into your fast pitch.
I could have hit 48 miles per hour.
Oh.
If that's how fast he was.
But
really
you were cooking. You were getting up to like 65. You were touching 65 on the outside corner.
Yeah, but once it started breaking, I was out.
As a hitter.
Yeah.
I'm saying when you would go.
The first time I saw a slider, I saw my future and it was dark. It was non-existent. It was like Doctor Strange came and wiped away my baseball
and
dreams.
Mephisto too.
Yeah.
I this will surprise no one that like generally 20 years ago, I would imagine it's still the same. Maybe it's not the same thing because you have a different weightlifting regimen now. But like we would arrive at Citizens Bank Park and we would immediately just like part towards our happy places. I would get in the line of Tony Luke's so I could procure the roast pork Italian sandwich early, and you would go straight to fast pitch to attempt to remove your rotator
to find
cuff.
out what the MPH was at. Now, I was not a pitcher, and when I did pitch, I was way more concerned with control than I was with velocity. So it was more of a Greg
Maddox up here. Yeah, I get it. You strike people out with your mind.
I wonder if this is Kaya's least favorite episode we've ever done. So far, we've talked about competing Transformers cartoons.
And toys.
Eric Stoltz shares mask.
Yeah.
We spent a long time talking about Dune and Spider-Man, and now we're talking about 1990s pictures.
Where are you with us these days?
I'm just glad you guys are having fun.
See? This is all just for me.
Yeah,
but I love Dune. I love Dune. I'm a Dune head.
Whoa. Now, have you read the books?
No.
Okay.
Kaya goes to parties. She's not us. She's fine.
You sounded some alarm about the Pit.
Yeah.
How did you feel about 5 p.m.?
This was a very, very exciting and jam-packed hour. I think that my concern last week was more, concern is too strong a word. I'm interested to see how they attempt to experiment with and iterate the form that they have created for themselves, the box that they have made for the show, which is the action takes place in real time more or less in this room or these rooms, and that's the extent of it. And the thing that I was flagging last week was the attempt to make not to bottle off an episode, but it was an episode about mothers and relationships with motherhood, and it felt like, as was this, by the way. And I felt the heavier hand of the writer's room in the episode for that. This week was a really strong episode. I did notice that there were a couple things that you just have to buy into and accept as part of watching the show and believing in it. One is the law and orderness of introducing new patients, where in my, thankfully, I'll knock on the table, limited experience in emergency rooms, when people come to check on me or the people that I'm there with, rarely do the patients say, you know what, doc, I love baseball. Roberto Clemente is a legend here. You know, in the same way that, like, if the police ever came up to me at my job, I wouldn't, like, if the police had ever approached me at Borders Books and Music in Rosemont in 1996, I wouldn't have been like, sorry, I gotta keep filing these Soul Asylum CDs while I talk to you.
Yes.
I would have been like, whatever you need, sir.
Yeah.
So there's that's just part of it. Like, we got to keep it moving, and the first introduction to a character in an ER is going to have to deliver a lot of expositional character stuff. The other thing is, in order to expand the palette beyond the workday, inevitably everyone from outside of these characters' work lives, despite what Robbie says to Mohan, is going to have to show up as a patient at one point or another. And it was Mel's sister, so we could have that scene.
Yeah. It's
the day that Robbie is going off on this existential vision bike quest. His biker buddy comes in, potentially with a tumor, that day. you have to buy into that. And I do, but I was just noting it and I was feeling the construction more these past 2 weeks.
I have not rewatched the first season of The Pitt, so I may live to regret this statement. I'm finding this season more stressful. And I think it's because the characters are deteriorating in a really well-written way. They are being put under this kind of almost like institutional and practical pressure rather than the existential adrenaline hit of the mass casualty event.
Yes.
And so watching them kind of have to go through this painstaking process of working with analog charting, the mistakes that are being made because of whether it's exhaustion or the gaps in between, like knowing what's wrong with somebody because you're waiting for x-rays.
The fact that most of them have side hustles and jobs when they're not on, including the night charge nurse who is also a death doula and Abbott who is also Superman.
Yes. And I think a lot of their personal lives are starting to really seep into their work in a way that's detrimental to both. Obviously, like Mel has had this tough time with the deposition and then like feeling like her sister's probably got more of a life than she does. Dana's running a shrinking staff of nurses or employees who are scared of the presence of the ICE agents, which we're going to talk about in a second. The Mohan and Robbie stuff, I think, is like not heartbreaking, but it's like so sad to watch. And like they're doing a very good job of showing like Robbie be like nice to other people, and not Mohan. And like they're like I think that they're making it like a different kind of season this season where the characters are not angels and not, undefeated, completely flawless people who only really take it out on themselves. Like they're taking it out on each other.
I think the genius of the show, in a way, is that central conceit that it's just going to be, each one is going to be a day, but baked into that is the hope and now the reality that we're going to have many days. And what the show can accomplish by doing that is proving it's not that anybody can be heroic once. It's that pretty much every shift and certainly every day that they choose to make a season of this television show will present just absolutely superhuman levels of stress, of demand, of challenge, of difficulty, and that's really the grindstone that they are under.
And we lovingly knock The Pitt for its expository dialogue sometimes, and people turning to the camera and being like, this actually affects older men much more than you'd think. But I thought some of the unsaid stuff in this episode was extraordinary. They did not show Roxy's death.
No, I was grateful for that.
And there is a world where they could have just been like the Hawaiian prayer over the old man last year blew everybody away. It's where I sort of fell in love with the show. It's clearly like letting go and loss is something that Robbie is conversant in, and it would be a great moment. We put McKay and Robbie in there as the final beeps go. Nope. It's just, not only did it happen off screen, but McKay missed it.
Yep.
And the moment that you do get with Roxy, which is Robbie looking at Javati and seeing like her welling up and just kind of like a quiet acknowledgement of like, this is really fucking hard.
Yeah, I see you. Yeah.
I thought that was a great way to show a different side of it, play it differently. And if a show's going to go on for multiple seasons, as I expect the Pitt to, they're going to have to think of new ways to peel the onion, and it still has the same effect.
I also appreciate the way that it is giving, one of the great things about ongoing television is that you can respond relatively quickly to things that work. And the Mel Dana scene out in the Bay, and there was a couple location shots in this episode. Or when I say location, I mean they do go to Pittsburgh, I think once, and they shoot a bunch of scenes from different episodes in that ambulance bay in the park across the street to make it feel like they're in the place. I thought that was a very good scene. I think maybe this was on the stairs. This one wasn't outside. But Mel says, I've seen Elf 164 times, and which is 163 more times than my kids are ever going to see it. Hated it.
Really?
Hated it. Not me. I think it's funny.
It's okay.
I'm brave.
You can have your own opinions.
Well, here I can, not at home. Anyway, that was for the Emmy voters, that scene.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's cynical. It's giving these good actors a chance to cook with each other in a way that is isolated.
A couple of people have written in about the unlikelihood that Mel would have a deposition on July 4th while she's on shift. The Mel plotline, the fact that every other doctor is being like, where the fuck have you been? Like, what are you doing? Pick up more patients, move faster, keep charting. And that Mel is kind of free to interact with her sister, wander around kind of beaten up by the day, getting very upset. Do you think that is like a plot line that feels very written, or do you think it's a plot line that exists within the real? Like, would they just be steering clear and letting Mel have like a bad day?
Look, I waltz in here at 11:02 and everyone's waiting and nobody says anything. So maybe this is normal for workplaces, that there's always one, who can just kind of get away with it. But I think that, again, I feel bad that I started with what in the framing it as if it's a criticism. Like I really watched this show. I
hope you like walk into the Harry Potter room like 5 minutes, like, what ho? Any magicianry going on?
I do that voice, but I get there incredibly early. I know. Because I really, really respect the workplace and my coworkers, and I don't want to discredit them. This is just for fun, like you said.
Sure.
Right? Thanks, everybody. Working behind the scenes here.
Well, they get paid whether it's us or the press box. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be us.
That's amazing. Let's see Brian and Shoemaker talk about Shockwave and they're exactly the same age as us. They could do it.
Two guys wearing glasses.
Notes. Yeah. I feel bad that I framed it as a criticism because I genuinely enjoyed the show simultaneously on two completely different levels. It is the only show that I watch without any threat of distraction or second screening, or I lock in. I can't wait to watch it.
It's the most gripped I am in my life, honestly. Like, it's the most present I feel all week.
In the main house, not the garage.
No.
The second, but second,
when I do Zane Lowe too, I feel like I achieve like, it's like Miles Davis doing Kind of Blue.
Let's do this. I want to visit this. I have some questions. I have some thoughts. The second way that I watch the show, I think, is like, I just really am fascinated by and inspired by and impressed by the writerly things that you can see, the way that they are crafting this and the things that they get away with, they don't get away with, but the intention behind it. And one of those things, to bring it back to what you were observing, is they looked at what they did in the first season. They knew what they had with Taylor Sheridan, and they were like, well, how can we make a different run at this character? And how can we differentiate her arc this season?
Yeah, because she's pretty resilient in the first season.
Yeah, and so what can we do differently? And then I'm sure that they're already having the conversations about what they will do in the third season, and that's exciting. That's the way you should build this, but with the added challenge of fitting it into this very, very specific box of driving story forward. Before we get to the big elephant story in the room, was interested to see Al-Hashimi really having a lot more, as you said last week, she doesn't really get her hands dirty that often.
She hadn't. Yeah.
She hadn't. She did last week.
Then she pulls off like the coolest move in the history of emergency medicine. Yeah.
Dr. Al-Hashimi was a problem with a scalpel in her hand. But this week she's back to being even more so like the one who is communicating and teaching not just the residents, but the family members that come in, including then being so on the ball that she follows the kind of dissociating young mother out into the street and saves her life.
Right. Because Joy had her pegged first. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy we're steering away from the residents just being like, you're fat. What's that like?
Yeah.
That's a big mistake you've made. You're a bad parent, to now complicating it slightly more.
Yeah, and
like,
Ogilvy fucks up. I think Ogilvy's like being called out on his like lack of sensitivity. Yeah.
And it happened to the one patient he was sensitive with.
Yeah.
The one who he gave a paperback to.
Okay, let's do ice.
Okay. All right, Mark Wayne, let's do ice. What are your thoughts? I'll be Rand Paul. And let's really
Those guys come in. There's two masked ICE agents, or one's masked, and the other one eventually puts his mask on.
Can I just say, before we even get into the specifics, we don't, because it's not really our purview, but we rarely compliment the direction of this show, even though it is so challenging and so specific.
Bryce Witch directed.
Veteran director.
Yeah.
The way that we, the audience, and the cameras see the looming masked agent for the first time was brilliant. That was like some Silent Hill shit, because it was just a figure.
He's 6'5" or something. It's crazy.
And it's not relevant to the scene we're in at first.
Yeah.
I thought that was just really
We realize
done.
it as Robbie realizes it.
Mhm.
And then I will say that the ability to get every single fucking person in this show, including Javadi's mom, on the same page of like how agitated and fucked up this is, and also terrifying because there are two masked armed men in the emergency room not respecting the processes of medicine. I thought it was really well done. Now, this has been a an already kind of documented and preordained controversial moment for the show.
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about why that is?
There were rumors, like industry rumors, that the show, and this wouldn't be actually, this could be both a rumor and also a pretty safe prediction, that a show that is so tethered to the moment and committed to exploring the realities of healthcare in this country, that there would be an ICE storyline this season. There were rumors that the storyline had been controversial or had been rejected on some level by the powers that be, not at HBO or HBO Max, but at the larger Warner Brothers Discovery network. And those rumors were kind of confirmed in a surprising way by John Wells, who's the executive producer and one of the co-creators of the show. Direct quote from the Daily Beast, saying, "I don't want to be in a situation where it's a surprise," basically because he went to, and he says their response was, and he says their response, I think, being WBD writ large. I don't know whether that's the legal side of it or if it's Zaslav himself. "Good story, just make sure it's balanced, and we're not just treating the situation as if it doesn't have other points of view." And this is episode filmed in December, shortly after the Netflix deal was announced or was about to be announced. Thus, Wells felt it necessary to consult the parent company. Wells added, "When we first pitched it, I thought, I can say that all of us are approaching what's going on in this country right now with a certain trepidation and also awareness that there are possible risks to telling certain kinds of stories." Now, what we saw on the screen was, I thought, very true to two different strands, not of oppositional thinking, but two different strands of reality in this country. One, good, decent people doing their jobs are horrified by the presence of, masked vigilante police force ripping people away without due process or allowing them to get proper medical care and disrupting everyone's lives in the pursuit of some nebulous goal.
Yeah.
Also, I think that Robbie's point of view was consistent with what he's been advocating for all season, which is we can't heal the world. We have to take care of the patients, and we have to take care of our workplace and the people we work with. So he was cautioning McKay and others not to upset anyone, not to try to push it or be extra legal with anything that they do, which was consistent with the prisoner, who was the patient earlier in the season as well, when Dr. Alashimi was suggesting that they do X, Y, or Z thing.
And Dana then kind of buys him a little bit more time
on the scale on that one. And this obviously reaches a breaking point when they attempt to put a sling on the woman who's the patient, and our guy Nurse Jesse intervenes and ends up in handcuffs himself.
Yep.
I don't know how you felt about this. We haven't talked about this. It did feel abrupt. I don't know if that's me filling in the blank, thinking that there was more story there, because some of the other rumors that are out there, and I do not want to give them extra credence necessarily by blasting them on a podcast as if I have I don't have secret knowledge.
Sure.
I don't know if this is true, but the rumors wasn't just that they consulted as they were filming to tweak it and get it right so as not to upset anyone. The rumors were that they had been told to change something or to dial something down. So the idea was, I probably did watch this episode looking for the missing pieces.
If I didn't know that, or if I had never heard those rumors, which I don't think I had, actually, that part. I had only read that they were asked to make it a balanced portrayal. I thought that the balance, just being a viewer of the show and not reporting on like the production of it, was from the plot line earlier in the year where there was, I believe, a young boy with his sister
whose parents had been
deported back to Haiti. And the social worker or the psychiatrist, the social worker is kind of like, we can only do so much, and there is like a legal process for this. And if there was not the kind of like outrage or like fight
Yes.
that like maybe you would associate with a left-leaning television show.
That's a really good observation. And I
thought that was going to be the balance part. I actually didn't know the ICE agents were coming into the emergency. I thought that was their depiction of, well, immigration's a complicated story and like there's multiple sides of it and all that. And that then it was like when these guys showed up, I was like, holy shit, I wonder how far this is going to go, especially given I imagine this was probably shot before Renee Good.
It says December. Yeah.
So it's before Minneapolis.
Yes. I think, first of all, I just think it's a very healthy and constructive lane for the show to be in story-wise, to have our characters who can be so, say it again, super heroic, minute to minute, patient to patient, feel the limits of their godlike ability to fix things as the world entrenches on them. And with that said, it's interesting to consider Robbie's comments to Mohan, which also sounded a little bit like physician heal thyself. When he's like, there needs to be a force field around these walls and nothing outside can get into it. I mean,
everything. Robbie is like, I thought this is the episode that confirms, like, I don't know if anything so dramatic as a attempt on his own life is going to happen, but Robbie's coming apart.
Yeah. And but I also think that speech about you keep everything out there, that's the key. That's the difference between the best doctors and the ones who don't make it. That speech is more interesting when you think about ICE coming in than when you think about Mohan being stressed out about her mother.
Sure, but like he's also like probably also talking about it from the regards of like, you can't stop it from coming in.
No,
because
exactly.
Duke, you brought Duke in.
He is not heal thyself.
Yeah.
He's not listening to his own medicine there.
Jake came in and
and his mentor came in during COVID and didn't survive. I also thought that initial plot line a few weeks ago with the family, because I was primed that they were going to do something, I thought that was it.
That's
and I
what
thought
I'm saying.
that was they had taken something out and put that in. I felt the same way. I want to be really careful here because I'm not ascribing malign actions, not just to like the Warner Brothers Discovery team and David Zaslav with his $900 million payout can eat shit, but everything else, people are trying to make a good show here. And I don't think that the people who make the show would sell themselves out and sell out their creative whatever to appease powers that be for mergers. I think it's interesting, to your point, that the balance that maybe they sought was how much can we do here?
Sure.
Their balance was, what good does it do to sacrifice our workers and our nurses to save one woman when this is an avalanche of injustice?
Because they're also losing nurses and employees. They're running, like, there are people leaving the emergency room.
There's Dr. Shamsi who says, like, we have people who are...
I'm down 5...
Yeah, because they have TPS status,
Right.
temporary protected status,
Right.
and they're not comfortable, and people leave the waiting room, triage. I think that was really important because, it doesn't take two guys on microphones to be like, there actually isn't both sides to like a handmade Gestapo force running wild through the country. Fucking nightmare shit. So, but I do wonder, in the fullness of the season, what we will think of this moment and how far the tendrils go. If there was more to be said, if this is it, I think it's not just me wondering.
I don't think it's it because they took Jesse. And I don't think it's it because, like, this is still a minute-to-minute show.
Yeah, but they also said that the hospital lawyers are tied up with the cyber attack, and so that might be the end of Jesse for the season.
It might be, yeah. It's a weird one because they keep talking.
He's the Dr. Collins of the season.
Multiple doctors in the show have been talking about how they only have 2 hours left, but they have 5 hours left on this season.
Well, that they're starting to address that with like Dana telling her night charge replacement, whose name I forget, I'll stay until we get someone else. Al-Hashimi saying, does Robbie stick around after his shift?
Yes.
And then he's saying he'll wait for the CAT scan of Duke's.
Duke, yes.
So they're starting to line that up. But
it doesn't look like Robbie's going to make it 5 more hours.
At this rate.
Let's talk about one more big moment from this episode, which was the Langdon Santos confrontation finally. This had been brewing. I thought it was great to see Issa Briones get more to do than kind of be a smartass. And not that I feel like that's a limited, I don't think that's a failure of the writing. I just think she's been given what she's been given so far. There was the brief moment earlier in the season where we're shown her cutting scars, like as she's like very quickly.
Mhm.
And so there's obviously and she has often had very emotional reactions to certain cases in the first 2 seasons, but has been kind of dead to the world this year because of this charting situation, because of, being underwater with her second year stuff. And I thought that the way that this played out was wonderful because they've certainly put Langdon in the kind of preferred status lane of boy, isn't this guy just an awesome dude who's really recovered, and for the most part, people are accepting of him with the exception of Robbie and
As Santos
Santos.
says, you're still the golden boy.
And he kind of is.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really a great moment when she is you don't fucking deserve to be here. That's what do you want from me? You stole drugs from the hospital.
Yes.
You should be disbarred and be in prison. And he does what lots of people do, which is I feel like I've suffered.
I almost lost my wife. I
Yeah.
almost lost my kids.
Yes.
I almost. She's like, that's what happens when you fuck up.
So Alashimi hears this or overhears part of this conversation. I didn't remember one way or the other. So it was, are we aware that it was suppressed that he was stealing from the hospital?
That may not be news to people who closely or recently watched the first season. I
don't remember whether I don't really remember how that played out. I remember Robbie being apoplectic,
Mhm.
but we didn't see how his whatever happened with Langdon's
so
discipline.
Is he back because he copped to having addiction issues
and went to rehab,
and they don't know about his
and is now in a Doctors with Drug Problems program, but only Robbie, Santos,
Right.
and Dana
I don't
know that he was stealing benzos from the dispensary.
Are you starting to, just side note on this, are you starting to worry that the Pit is starting to feel a little bit Dunder Mifflin, in which Toby or Angela is always in the background being huh? The timing is remarkable.
I get it. There have been also a couple of moments where I'm how come everybody is not seeing this as,
Right.
and I think
By the way, everyone heard when the show, put paid to the idea that all television characters can just have their joints, their elbows, whatever, shoulders put back into socket, like they're fucking Murdoch in Lethal Weapon.
I know.
Or Xavier on Paradise.
It's Riggs in Lethal Weapon, actually,
I'm sorry,
who gets his shoulder.
No, Murdoch. Oh, right. Murdoch's too old for this shit.
Yeah.
Roger Murdoch.
Riggs does it himself, too.
Constantly.
Yeah.
To swim to freedom. Yeah, I'm with you on Issa Briones, who I think is a really strong performer, actually having some ground to stand on, and and not just be complaining. I thought that was a strong scene. And then we end with
Cliffy.
another example of potential assault on nurses.
I'm sure we'll hear all about it next week.
Do you want to speak up for the golf community in any way to defend that guy's actions?
Yeah, I wonder what drug that guy's on.
Maybe.
I mean, it's not just White Claws, he's definitely...
It's 100 degrees.
That doesn't give you psychotic episodes, does it?
I mean, we should go through who you golf with. I think it's possible that there are a couple people. One last Pitt question for you before we move on. And I'm not making light of a news situation, but I'm curious how Pitt-pilled you are, because news broke just as we were sitting down that Pistons guard Cade Cunningham suffered a collapsed lung.
Yeah,
were
I
you
saw that.
pneumothorax? Because I'm not trying to. I was at this point.
So you are Pitt-pilled.
I'm Pitt-pilled.
I think Cade's going to be okay. It sounds like it's a minor collapsed lung.
Those words sound crazy.
But we're not.
Together.
He's not going to hit. There's worry now that he might not hit the minimum amount of games, which means the MVP. I guess will probably be Shea, but it'll.
Do I have a benchmark like that to be considered for podcasting awards?
I think you hit it. We do 100 shows a year here.
We do a lot of shows.
Yeah, 2 a week for 52 weeks.
Yeah.
What's that come out to?
104.
That's right. So it's 104 shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. About.
Good for us.
Let's talk about the Madison. This is going to be a limited engagement, I think, for 2 seasons. They've already shot 2 seasons of this 6-episode per season show.
I read that the cast and crew are hopeful for a third.
This is the kindest, gentlest, most romantic Taylor Sheridan show to date. I think it looks like $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
It is a gorgeous piece of TV. These are all positives.
Yeah.
I also find it to be pretty well written.
Okay.
And
when you say how good it looks, should we shout out Christina Alexandra Voros, who directed all 6 episodes?
Yeah, sure.
We should.
We should.
Shouting out the female director of a Taylor Sheridan show because I'm an ally. But go on. Talk about how well written it is. Go on.
It's so well written that it made me think about all the movies we don't get from Taylor Sheridan. Sean brought this up on the Sicario rewatchables. Just talking about how like this dude is a feature writer, and the TV thing has obviously proved out to be quite lucrative. But all of his great shows, I think, would make dynamite features. Now you could say like, what would the world lose if they didn't have season 3 of Yellowstone? But a lot of these are conceived in a way that feel very featurey. You know, a lot of these shows, and I think that there is a time, probably like 20 years ago, when a movie version of the Madison would have done quite well.
It's actually written into the text of the show. In the pilot episode, the characters gather to watch a favorite film, and it's a river runs through it, and it has such an emotional impact on the characters, much more than I think anyone watching a Taylor Sheridan television show would have. And I'm not saying that that's not my first hit. That one doesn't count. That's I'm just praising
Your first
Robert
hit
Redford's.
was when I said it was well written, and you went,
No, I something in my teeth.
Okay. So you engaged with this piece of work.
I watched the first episode, and I got to be honest with you. I thought like Kurt Russell and Matthew Fox are so charming and so delightful. I turned it off after 11 minutes because I was like, I don't need to watch 6 episodes of these guys larking about.
So you've suggested something that would be a spoiler.
Here come the spoilers.
Here come the spoilers. So if you have not watched the first episode of The Madison,
if you have not watched a Taylor Sheridan show, Taylor Sheridan shows follow this format.
This one was a pretty big one for a Taylor Sheridan show even.
I'm just saying, when they announce shows as two-handers, and you're like, whoa, the second hand seems awfully busy to be doing this show, you should trust your instincts, you know?
I have to say, though, I would much prefer to watch Kurt Russell on a show like this than Monarch Legacy of Monsters.
We're doing the positive stuff. Yeah. The show looks beautiful. Montana, not even a bit, a place I was recently and I loved, is just stunningly beautiful. I'm not even trying to be that guy. Have I been to the Bozeman Airport? Yeah, I was there.
Oh, because they get off,
Yeah, and the kids are like, what is this place? And I was like, that tracks. That's realistic. That's also what my children said. Just stunningly beautiful. And what I really did enjoy about the opening idol, in which Kurt Russell, who plays we don't actually know yet through the first episode why he's so rich, but a rich New York City businessman of some
I'm guessing real estate, but maybe I'm wrong.
Is in his happy place with his younger brother, played by Matthew Fox,
Paul,
who we've not seen on television quite some
Kurt
time.
Russell plays Preston.
They're fly fishing, they're roughing it in a place without plumbing, and there's plumbing, there's just no toilet, as Michelle Pfeiffer mentions repeatedly. They elevate the material. The setting elevates the material, they elevate the material. There's a moment early on when Matthew Fox's Paul says to his brother, you could put your bags in the plane and you could go home, or we could go fish at this incredibly rare fishing spot tomorrow that I've arranged for you
that
for your birthday.
usually you have to camp to get to.
And Kurt Russell, 75 years young, playing 65, that's the dream, is so excited that he does like a little eager beaver dance around. And I'm like, fucking movie stars, man. They can make you feel anything.
Sure.
I was genuinely delighted by their rapport and their relationship.
It's fantastic, and it ends tragically when they die in a plane crash 10 minutes later.
Yeah. Should we stop the pod? Cliffhanger.
I really got hosed on this one. I saw these guys doing press and talking about how great it was, and I really...
You got Kingstowned?
I didn't get Kingstowned. Well, I mean, that was the biggest one, but I was like, boy, this is a really tender, thoughtful scene between these two brothers. It feels like they're arriving at the end of a lifetime spent somewhat alienated by becoming much closer. And I wonder if Preston's like, I'm not going to come back. You have to come out here to his New York family.
I want to be really clear with you about something. Television has taught me many things, but chief among them is I will never have a conversation with you about how I want to spend my final years. I will never say to you when we reach a place that makes us happy, like Lincoln Financial Field, I hope I never leave here.
We don't ever go to football games. What are you talking about?
I'm just thinking about, right, but they never went to that fishing spot.
Right.
Also, football's kind of better on TV. My point is, this is the McBainiest fucking McBain
I know.
that has ever
In
McBained.
retrospect, shame on me. Okay? Fool me twice, Taylor Sheridan.
Okay.
But you know, they have an incredibly like thoughtful conversation about like what's a life worth, you know, if you spend all of it working to get to old age and then your body is too broken down to really enjoy it, you know? And Matthew Fox's character, Paul, is like, I enjoy every day I make a memory. Now he's also a monk, it seems like. He doesn't have a dog or a lover. Not in that
Sounded weird, but okay.
in that order. I mean, that's what he says. He's like, get a girlfriend. He's like, no, all I do is fish, and work on my house, and then they die.
Yeah, it's true. Matthew. By the way, Matthew Fox, still a great television leading man. If he ever wants to work again, he should. But 2, what a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Fly to fucking Montana.
2 weeks with Kurt Russell in Montana, and
Awesome
then you're
job.
out. Yeah, or however long it took to shoot.
Although it does suggest, the way the pilot's built suggests that there will be flashbacks.
And I've watched the first 3, and Kurt Russell appears in basically memory or as like kind of the narrator of these journals that he leaves behind for Michelle Pfeiffer to read. Not for her to read.
It's like James Marsden in Paradise.
The main storyline of this show is about Michelle Pfeiffer's Stacy character. She's a New York City socialite and mother of 3, I believe.
I think it's just the daughters. I think it's 2.
Two daughters, but then like the extended family is there or whatever. No, there's 3 daughters, isn't there?
No, as far as I can tell, there's 2 daughters that travel with her. One daughter is divorced.
Yes.
Played by Bo Garrett. She has 2 young daughters of her own.
And then Ella Chapman is married to Patrick J. Adams,
Yes.
who's come along, the son-in-law.
Longtime watch nemesis, Patrick J. Adams.
I consider him a close member of the alliance. Of
Soundwave, shockwave.
Okay. And then it's just it's a story about grief, kind of. It's like, Michelle Pfeiffer. It's a little bit of City Mouse, Country Mouse stuff going on. Like, there's a snake over here or something. But like, so far, I'm kind of shocked by like the lack of an opposing force other than the force of loss, right? Like, there's not evil ranchers who want to take over the land or developers who want to put a condo on it, like in Yellowstone. It's kind of just this woman going through a midlife crisis that leads to a midlife reinvention.
I want to go back to what you said and what you were talking to Sean about. Like, this should have been a movie, and I think would have been a movie in a different era.
Yeah.
Where you could focus, you could tell the story you want to tell, and you could tell the reinvention in a way of one woman's journey. You could tell it in 2 hours without having to then, without predicting what happens. There are at least, 11 more hours of the show that I haven't watched across 2 seasons because they've already filmed the second
season has come out, yeah.
So there's going to be stuff thrown crossways to generate plot and friction.
Sure you're right.
That's what happens.
Yes.
So Michelle Pfeiffer, luminous, one of our great stars. So exciting to have her back in our lives as a working actor. And there was a good profile of her in the Times where and this wasn't a secret, but she was just like, no, I'm trying to give credit.
Such a Times reader.
Sometimes they do good stuff, whether they're profiling Michelle Pfeiffer or reporting out, Cesar Chavez. They can still get it right.
I know. It's
just stay away from the opinions page.
You are entering that zone where you're just like, have you saw this incredibly searing takedown in the Times?
Listen, if I ever call you, I'm like, got him.
But what happens when you text me, got him?
It's different.
Yeah.
Also, got him with Cesar Chavez.
No,
right?
I know.
It wasn't like we got
him. They really got to the bottom of Michelle Pfeiffer's.
I was just trying to look, journalism is a struggling field right now. Okay.
Sure.
And I align with the reporters and the hard workers.
And the female directors. We know you're doing great today.
I am signaling everywhere what I'm all about. She was like, I took a lot of time off to raise my family. Like that. I just pointing out that now she is working more regularly.
Yeah, she's Margot's Got Money Problems.
She's still great. It's good that the show moves the way it moves because anything Montana based was at least beautiful and kind of fun or compelling, despite the drive-by on my alma mater.
On Brown.
Yeah. I mean, that said, it does track that like I definitely could probably cook the meat, but starting fires and avoiding snakes and wasps' nests was not in my. I mean, it's a very open curriculum.
Sure.
You don't have to take anything, but I didn't really learn.
But don't
about
your
that
daughters
stuff.
mostly do camping trips for school?
Yeah.
So like you're probably familiar enough with the great outdoors at this point.
Yeah, I signed the permission slip. What are you talking about? I don't go. Anyway, the New York stuff was so putrid.
I guess I kind of forgot about that. Yeah.
There's
mostly focusing on the river.
There's a filmmaker whose view of contemporary New York City seems mostly informed by Curtis Sliwa campaign literature, like a city in which a young blonde woman walking down the street is viciously assaulted and robbed, and everyone else just moves on because that's the way cities just move on.
Sure.
That's not my experience with the city. Thank you, Zoran. I think things have gotten a lot better.
You don't live there.
Here are the things that I'm a part of. Feminist movement, New York City, the loyal cadre of New York Times readers who support journalism, even as democracy dies.
I know, it's just like you care so much about who's the mayor of New York City. We live in fucking Los Angeles.
Because we live in fucking Los Angeles. It's nice to see a city working itself out,
Okay. Yeah.
Look, you can You standing for Karen? You want to talk about local politics?
No, I don't.
Okay,
I really
fair.
don't.
Anyway, I don't understand, other than the fact that Taylor enjoys his life as he should, why he's so interested in the travails of the incredibly, incredibly rich. And maybe that's just who he knows now that he, we
don't have a lot of working class television, man. I mean, like,
no, but shows about,
and his shows too. Honestly, the Dutton family is rich.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the ladies in Lioness have pretty nice houses.
Tommy is rich, and Monty
but it's
is
not real
richer.
money. It could go away in a second. Landman season 3 with oil prices like this.
I can't wait. Actually, now you just said, now I'm interested.
Yeah.
Now I'm interested. When Taylor's two major interests, warmongering and oil profiteering, collide, which side of the Strait of Hormuz will he be on?
I know.
Fascinating to see. I can't wait. He's an incredibly talented writer and generator of material, and incredibly unique in the volume and the way that he works. And it's also frustrating because he is long past the point where anybody is suggesting anything or editing anything. So he's constantly at the mercy of his own worst instincts.
All right. Do you want to do a little bit of Top Chef episode 2?
Sure.
This is now, it's after dark. This season rocks.
Right?
I actually like the Talenti quickfire.
Did you have a moment where you were worried?
God damn it.
Yes.
Yeah. We're back in the studio and we're back with sponsored products and all that stuff, which is like, everybody's got to pay bills. I get it. But I was just like, historically, I've not loved the Talenti challenge in my mind. And I was like, holy shit, like this is, they're really like cooking at a very high level for a quickfire. And I thought that the challenge itself was interesting. And then you have something like the peppers, which could go just sort of like comically wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a testament to the quality of the chefs this year that even though Tom and Kristen were sweating to the oldies there, getting through those peppers, like it seemed like they were really blown away by the food.
I mean, I think that it probably does a disservice to the show to not lead with the fact that the caliber of the cooking is really high, and that must be such a saving grace for all their plans. But I genuinely think that something either changed, or they had a different mandate, or they just really buckled down in their editorial meetings about how they wanted to shape the season, because they just seem completely reactivated. You're having a Talenti challenge. It felt like you said, it felt like it was just going to be sort of sponsored twaddle. But the idea is like, we're going to have an ingredient basket that inspired the flavor, so we're going to be cooking savory dishes, made it more interesting.
Even like the idea that like, and hey, just so you know, we're going to take a bite of sorbet at the end of the meal, so it has to like interlock taste-wise with what you made. Yeah.
And then the pepper thing was just a wildly like, it's such a risk. And I was watching them. Maybe this is just being older now, but like watching the judges walk into that dinner, being like, are any of them going to be running out screaming with intestinal distress, or is this going to be like Hot Ones? Is it going to be a gimmick? It was really bold on the part of the show, on the part of the contestants, and on the part of the judges to get through it. And it was very impressive, and also riveting in a way that I think early episodes often aren't, due to the volume of chefs.
Yes, because you're just like, I mean, first of all, I found the quality of the cooking to be evidently so high that I'm finding it easier to like identify chefs and even some of their, like the way that they're going. Like Rhoda obviously is like a badass and like calmly and coolly like commanded her team in the elimination challenge, even though I believe she had immunity, right? She had immunity and it never came up again. I thought that this was a really interesting challenge because spice tolerance is not something that people can like really, I mean, you just have what you have, right? Like I really like Szechuan spice. I don't really like Carolina shit. No, nor do I like, I mean, it's fine to watch it on Hot Ones, but I mean like the competitive extreme, like let's see how far we can blow out our taste buds thing is not very pleasant for me. And I don't have a lot of interest in it as a fan of either cooking or of reality. Like I don't need to see people compete that way. Yes. So the fact that they were able to steer out of that and that they're, and actually make something worth eating was remarkable. Yeah. I thought, and I would imagine if we talk to the producers, and maybe we will at the end of the season again, they must have
must have been presented to them being like, this is actually a slightly rogue challenge to have because it'll be really good TV if one of them makes Tom ill.
Yeah.
But so you have to be willing to take that risk. And I don't know whether they were willing to take that risk because it's season 23 and we got to try something, or if they were willing to take the risk because they already trusted the ability level, like the core competency of the contestants.
I thought the eliminated chef is Jossie, right? Who made a Vindaloo. Can't remember which pepper he used, but he was the hottest. He was supposed to be the hottest in the progression.
Yes.
And he is voted off instead of Nana, who had a pretty tough first episode, and then served a couple of pieces of undercooked fish in her judge's presentation, but not every judge had an undercooked piece of fish. So I think it was
Maylin loved her fish.
Tom and I think Ed were like, my fish is raw. And there seemed to be some debate kind of like, well, this is 2 for 2 now where Nana did something wrong. The age-old question of, is it the cumulative cooking that this person has done or mistakes that they have made versus one bad or one good cook? What did you think of the elimination?
Well, first of all, it was interesting. And the fact that what's her name, Rhoda? Am I mixing it up? Her dish was so good that it completely made everyone forget about, I think, Lawrence's eggplant dish, which like up to that point, they were like, this is the greatest thing we've had on the show. And then it never got mentioned again. Right. I think that it's unfortunate that Nana was the person involved in both of these mini debates. Because I think that the Tom thing in the ring mold is one argument. But the decision in this episode was pretty consistent with, I think, the way the show has always been judged, which is that she had some cooking issues, which happen even to the great champions, but that the underlying idea of the dish and the way the dish met the challenge, which was the spice level in the progression, worked. Whereas Jossie took on the hardest one, which was like, let's make the spiciest dish, failed at that, and then cooked a protein wrong, so that it was bad for everybody. Yeah. As Tom says, with something like that, you need to braise it. You can't roast it because it's just not going to break down that way. It made sense. Also, a weird flex to be like, I don't like spicy food. Despite cultural prejudices about Indian cuisine, I can't handle it, and I'm a 2 on a scale of whatever.
But that he should have just gone earlier.
He should have gone earlier, because then he made a dish, and everyone was like, this is not spicy, and they're sitting around like shaking hot sauce.
Yeah, they're throwing ghost peppers into it to try and get it back to up to the level.
By the way, Pepper X, I think, appears in Spider-Man Brand New Day.
That's good to know. I'm glad he's finally coming off the page. So far, nothing but great things to say about this season.
How would you have fared in any of this?
Like I said, I think the spice thing is like a real, I think it's like what can you handle and what do you like? Like I really love the tingly like Szechuan stuff. I find like I'm probably a pretty novice baby when it comes to Mexican spice, like Mexican cuisine spice. And certainly like, I don't really even know what I would do with the ghost pepper reaper stuff.
Like when your ears are ringing and you like leave your body,
that doesn't sound fun for me. Now, if you have somebody who's like balancing stuff really, really well, like I'd entertain it. I'd love to have tried Rhoda's and Lawrence's dishes.
I want to see the real edit of the judging, because then at the end, Tom's like, also it was 100 degrees in that, like,
they're doing a lot of outdoor summer eating in the Carolinas.
I just wanted it, like, they definitely, all the judges are executive producers of the show. So they definitely were able to say, like, you can't use that one shot of me begging for a glass of milk while weeping. You can't do it.
They were like chugging the yogurt drink that got made.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. That was what Lawrence brought them rice, right? Like that was the kindest thing you could do.
We can wrap up there.
All right.
Long show. We'll be back on Monday. I don't know what we're going to do.
You don't know.
Maybe you'll see Project Hail Mary. We can talk about that.
I'd love to see that movie.
Thanks to Kai, Kaya, and Sarah. We will be back on Monday, and you guys have a great weekend.